It's not my problem. It's not my problem. When I feel every metal, and I'm pissed and I'm beat. When I lie and I'm amazing all of the time, when I'm never sure why I need you. Please let me shout.
All right, welcome to the Prospect Podcast. On a great Monday, I have me, Coach Schuman. I'm here with Coach D to my left, and above me is the offensive line coach, Coach Stephen Crevani, at Johns Hopkins University. So we're going to talk to him. It's great to have you on. It's great to see you again, bud. It's amazing seeing. See, I know Stephen from when he was a player in high school. So now he's a grown man, you know, to be an adult, making his own decisions, you know, living his own life, which is great. I mean, by the way, like salt of the earth players. Like, I mean, he was our center at high school when I was an assistant at Old Depascale, center and nose guard, and brilliant. Like, as far as not just, I mean, from an academic standpoint, but like understanding everything that was going on and a true leader in the team. So not surprised to see him in the position he is, which is, moving up real quick in college football. So it's great to have you on, Stephen.
I appreciate you having me. I'm really excited to reconnect.
Yeah, no doubt. Coach played at Old Depascale High School. He went on to Union College, played there under a really good program under Coach Bierman there. And then as a coach, he's been at quite a few different places. I mean, he was at Rocky Mountain College. Lord knows where that is. He could probably tell us what he tells us his whole background. I'm guessing Colorado, but I could be wrong. And I probably am. I don't know. And then, he was at Monmouth University, the coaching there. And now, obviously, he's at Johns Hopkins as the offensive line coach. Phenomenal recruiter as well. I'm assuming New Jersey's one of his places, but that he's recruiting from. But does a great job there. Just fantastic to have him on and talk to him. And he's one of the fast rising young coaches in the sport. At a place that Johns Hopkins, which is a traditional power, literally a team hunting for a national championship each year. So close this year as well. But yeah, I don't want to bring up memories on that, but yes, we're moving on to next year. But obviously a fantastic program, Johns Hopkins, and so it's great to have you on, Stephen. It would be great. I touched on kind of a little bit of your journey. I would love for you to kind of, in your words, tell your whole journey as a player, as a coach, and even your thought process going into coaching, because obviously you probably had opportunities to go right into business, right away, right? So, so talk about all of that kind of stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. I could talk forever because it was a fun process in getting here, but essentially, as you said, Old Depascale High School, went to Union College. I went the route. I was never the tallest guy, never the biggest guy, but had the opportunity, best academic school, great at football, a little bit rebuilding phase, but kind of listening to Coach Bierman. And at that time, Coach Martin was the offensive line coach, and buying into what they're saying. So they went 0-10 and then 2-8 in his first year. And I really believed in their message and kind of rebuilding, and fell in love with what they had to preach, and that's kind of why I chose to go there. And 3 years later, my junior year, we went from 0-10, 4 years later, to 10-0. Culture, the way they messaged, I believed in it, bought in, and was really happy. My playing career didn't go exactly the way I imagined it through COVID. Injuries my first 2 years, all those different things. Really made the decision to come back. I was always a two deep guy. I was the next guard, center in for my first 3 years, but I believed in it. Had 3 different offensive line coaches, which is really big into why I became a coach. Ended up starting my senior year, or my 5th year, I guess, technically, because of COVID. Played all 10 games, went 8-1, lost after leading by 10 points and an onside kick and a field goal to beat us. actually, when my playing career ended, I did go in the workforce. I was an assistant project manager for about, I graduated in November, and from November to about March, I was working 9 to 5 on a construction job site in Newark, New Jersey. Probably every New Jersey Italian
experience in itself, right there, buddy.
New Jersey Italian and construction. Nothing crazy in that one, but
no, not a TV show made about it or anything. Basically, you know.
But kind of getting into it, I was just like, something was still missing in my life, and football, sports, and I kept looking back on it. And I mentioned this. I had 3 different offensive line coaches through my college career, and each one I still talk to probably monthly. Coach Martin was my first one. There was Coach Trigonis, and then Coach TJ, Travis James. He's the O-line coach now at Bucknell. Each one of them kind of developed me, and I took something from each one of them. Some of it was more life, some of it was more X's and O's, and some of it was my coaching philosophy. And that kind of relationship to me is kind of what drew me to the like, I want to coach. Like, having that relationship, the growth that each one of those guys had on me, it was like, I want to create that same impact for future generations, for future players. Because at the end of the day, coaching is about the players and those relationships, and that kind of what drew me. So I called Coach Travis James and I said, I want to coach. Kind of that's what I want to do. That's where I want to go. I don't want to work my whole life without football, without having those relationships that you developed with me. So 2 weeks later, he gives me a text. He goes, I have a potential assistant offensive line job opening for you, but you have to move to Montana, Rocky Mountain College.
Oh, Montana. Okay, there you go. All right.
So I said, this is what I really want to do. I never lived further. Like, Union College was 2.5 hours from North Jersey. I never lived further than that. And I said, well, it's one way to grow, and that's by getting outside your comfort zone. So interviewed there, got the job, NAIA school, completely different type of place. Like, I'm coming from a high academic school. Otapan, as you guys know, is a wealthy area,
right.
Very different demographic. And I kind of got exposed, not the right word, but I learned about a whole different world. Again, small school, NAIA, I had to be the assistant line coach and the equipment manager. Getting your hands dirty. Like, we played a game on the grass field, white jerseys, stains everywhere. And there's me and our student manager before the kids were allowed to hop on the bus. Give me your jerseys, and we're scrubbing them before we leave. Like, doing the dirty work and the kind of learning, like, all the other things that go outside of just the X's and O's, outside of the players. So I'm learning what it takes to learn football. Spent my year there. Awesome. I loved the whole staff. Coach Stutstream now, he's starting his own program out in Bismarck State. Really taught me what it was to be a college football coach at the small school level, that work ethic, all the things that go outside of it. And another Otapan guy, Coach Christian Runza. We
just got back with Monmouth.
Yep. So we reconnected.
We've had him on, buddy.
He's a great guy. And he's the reason why I ended up at my next spot, which was Monmouth University. He connected, called me, said, hey, there's a quality control / assistant offensive line coach at Monmouth University. Do you want to go back home? I was like, I'd love the opportunity to go home. And honestly, getting that Division I experience would be really cool, because at that point haven't been there yet. So I got a chance to be the assistant O-line coach and quality control coach over there. That whole staff is awesome. From the retired Coach Callahan, who's an amazing guy, from Coach Gallo, Coach Jimmy Robertson, K-Cal, and Coach Gabe, the O-line coach there. Tremendous X's and O's guys, tremendous people to work for. But again, the quality control aspect, being willing to do anything outside of football to help the team, setting up meeting rooms, picking up catering orders, things like that, all that other aspect. And then from there, I ended up at Johns Hopkins the following year. First year as my own position coach. Really lucky, really tough to get an offensive line job as your first own position room. Really big learning curve, having your own room for the first time. Had great coaches. Coach Rio, our defensive line coach, really helped me with that transition, learning how to become my own person, not trying to mirror. Like, you want to take little pieces from every guy you've been around, but you don't want to try to be someone you're not. And I think being your authentic self is the best way to coach, because I think players sniff out bullshit right away. And if you try to be fake, they're going to read it. And the best way to coach is just to be yourself. First year was tough as a position. We had injuries left and right, 8 different offensive linemen playing. I think we went 9 weeks in a row without the same starting 5 at one point. But the team saw success, which was awesome. It was made it to the Final Four in year 1. A lot of it because of the culture and the team aspect. This year, completely 180 in the position group itself. A lot of older guys. Health stayed the same, which was great. We had a lot more continuity. And same result. Ended up in the Final Four again. Tremendous run. A lot of it is from, I think, us being a player-led team. It's really letting the players be who they are. And it's just fun getting to sit back and be coaches and watch them do their thing on the field. So that was a little bit about me, a little bit more detail, but yeah.
Great stuff. It's quite an interesting ride, taking a chance, betting on yourself to go to a different area, being willing to be uncomfortable as a coach.
Yeah, it's tough.
That's I think that's an important part that obviously ends up helping you grow as a coach in the long run. Talk about, so you played for 3 different offensive line coaches in college, and obviously now that you're an offensive line coach yourself full time. Talk about how you kind of started to form what you needed to do on the offensive line, develop kind of what your own philosophy, because playing for 3 different guys, you probably had differing philosophies and stuff like that. So talk about how you kind of are starting to shape that part of your your philosophy as an offensive line coach.
Absolutely. And that's a great question. So first offensive line coach was Coach Ben Martin. He actually was coming from the Miami Dolphins. He was the assistant O-line coach there during the whole the Richie Incognito thing. So that's how we ended up at Union. Just to shorten that story up. Right. He played for Coach Behrman, and that's why he came for us. He was best way to describe him is obviously coming from the Miami Dolphins, had an unbelievable football mind. Right. For me, making that jump as a freshman center, the center and his offense controlled a lot of the calls, point calls, protection sets. I struggled a lot in that aspect. His coaching philosophy was hard-nosed, very similar to, as you know, Coach Don and Coach screaming his head off, and I reacted really well to that. But that
you're probably used to it.
Yeah, very used to it. But the X's and O's part I was way behind. Needed to study the playbook a lot more. I was struggling. Second year in, Coach Dragonis took over, almost a 180, different type of guy, much more relaxed, much more not going to mother F you, but still going to coach you up hard. Can tell you when you do things wrong, but not tell you that you're a lazy SOB or something like that. He's going to coach you that way. And he simplified the playbook where I started to understand it a little bit more. I don't even know if understanding it a little bit more is the best way to put it, but I didn't have as much to think about. He really simplified the calls, the technique. The NFL and Coach Martin was like, if you don't step with your even number foot on contact, whether in the second level or this, I was like, what's going on? The technique to that part, where Coach Rugonis really simplified it a little bit where you don't have to think as much while making the calls. And then Coach Travis James was my last one. And he was the most, I think, personal relationship because I was that senior. He was the new coach coming in. I'm a senior now, and he really sat me down one-on-one. We talked, and he goes, "Here, I'm like, you've already been a college football player for 4 years before me. I'm not coming in here and telling you to do this, that, or this.
Right.
I'm going to tell you this is what I want. This is what I like. But if you sit down with me and say, okay, I've done it this way, it works. I'm going to take your input. I'm going to put my foot down if I think it's bad, but we're going to have more of a player-coach relationship." And it was still Coach Behrman's like offense in a sense. They kind of congealed together.
Right.
So he kinda used me as that fifth-year guy to help him kind of how would you do things and this kind of thing, and really built a really tight relationship with him. And so going into that fifth year is kind of more of where I took a lot of that philosophy where he called it, and I use this term now, is the toolbox. And especially offensive line play, there's a million different ways to block inside zone, a million different techniques to get into double team blocks. I'm going to teach you the tools that I think it is to be successful. But here at Johns Hopkins, a lot of the juniors and seniors now, they've had 3 offensive line coaches too. And so I've been through kind of in their kind of in that same aspect of them. And I have that like, hey, Coach so-and-so might have taught it this way. I'm going to teach it this way. And then our center, especially our center's a transfer from Wheaton. So I'd tell him, hey, I want you to skip on a 3-tech in mid zone. And he's a little shorter, so skipping wasn't too great for him. And he goes, hey, I used to do it this way, and we would work it on indie drill. And if I liked it, we kind of had that relationship where here's a toolbox. This is the tools that I like for you guys to use. But I'll give you the opportunity to do something if it worked elsewhere, if someone else taught you a different way, and then we'll come together.
It's awesome.
I really think that relationship where you value the player's input, especially in today's day and age, it earns respect. It earns that kind of, it's not just your way or the highway. And it is important that where you need to put the foot down every now and then. But players react differently when they think their voices are heard. And I think that's a really important aspect of that relationship. And I think I learned from year 1 to year 2 where the biggest thing is if the players aren't bought in, it doesn't matter how much you know or how well you coach. If the players aren't bought in and giving everything that they have for you, you're just not going to go as far. And I think players being bought in and trusting you 100%, you have to meet them halfway for them to do that.
No, it's a huge deal. It's interesting having like 3 different styles like that, kind of shape what you're forming as to like your own style. I think it like as a player, it's like hard because you're like, okay, am I ever going to get the most out of myself? Because I'm learning, I get comfortable in the system, and then it switches, and then okay, I got to learn this. Like I always think as a player, that's one of the hard things about college football now, in my opinion, is like there's so much turnover, and that like a player gets comfortable in a way that their position coach teaches them. New position coach comes in, learning the new system. It might, what I think it does is it makes you a better coach if you end up being a coach, because you learn all these different systems. As a player, you may not develop as much, you know what I mean? Because you you get a little bit, and I do think like that's where if you have some level of stability, especially at Division III level, it really helps, because you're going to have those players longer. Division I is a different world because there's so much turnover, but both players and coaches. But at Division III, especially where you guys are, that gives them the ability to develop, which I think ultimately is probably why you see like yourselves and you know, quite a few of the other teams are like perennially in the hunt, you know what I mean? Not, you know, for the championship, to be in that final 16 group, and you see certain teams, you know, you kind of see the same teams for the most part. But I think that's what happens. And obviously you're able to get better recruits. There's no doubt about it, but they probably also have more stability among their staffs as well. So, and one of the other things, I think that Division III might be, it's kind of an interesting thing. Like there's a mix at the highest level between super high academic schools like you guys and a couple others, and then schools that like are not really great academically, but obviously are able to get. So it's really interesting at Division III how you have and you guys end up coming to loggerheads and playing each other, and are all playing at the similar levels, but totally different recruiting philosophies, different schools. Talk about that dynamic at the Division III level. You know what I mean? Because I think that's really interesting. Because at Division I, for the most part, state schools, you get a couple at high academic schools here once in a while that get in there, but it's mostly state schools that are in the hunt, big, huge state schools. Talk about how that's a little different at the Division III level.
Yeah. Well, a lot of Division III is a lot of small private schools. I know that,
Right.
But a lot of the perennial powerhouses that you're going to go with, off the top of your head, that I can rip off, Mary Hardin Baylor, Mount Union, North Central, those guys, very different than the Johns Hopkins, the Carnegie Mellons, who just joined our conference, which is awesome. Carnegie Mellon, the U Chicago, which I'm really excited to see them kind of develop. They're getting the new head coach. I think he's going to do a great job there. But I know just from the last two playoff runs, we played Mary Hardin Baylor and we played Mount Union in 24 last year, not this previous year. But biggest difference between our two teams that I noticed right off bat is roster size. Our philosophy, like our athletic director has done a great job of letting us know where she would like our roster cap to be at, which is we don't have one. We kind of just hold ourselves at 100. We don't want to be higher than that. Like 94 is our head coach's sweet spot for us. Just because we don't lose many people to the portal. We our degree and kind of team culture, once they're here, a lot of the guys love it. And they want to stay all 4 years. So
it's also different, not to cut you off, but the NJAC has a roster limit, right? Like you can only bring 105 in and that's it. And that's kind of, once that's kind of set, even with, you go to camp, injuries, quit, life, right? Like before you know it, you're at 95 by default, and you can't just now go and, free agency, pick up another 10, which at the D3 level would, in my eyes, wouldn't be that hard of a thing to do, right? To go find some kids that are kind of sitting in the weeds or waiting. But for you guys to not have that and still say it's, hey, this is the number we want to be at because we understand what the program is and our culture and our structure of kind of where that sweet spot is different. But go ahead, continue, Coach.
Yeah. And I'm glad you brought that up too, because I think because I was going to go a little bit into it, but one, it's for the culture. We really here at Hopkins, it's really culture-based, created by Coach Margraf. You can't talk Hopkins football without bringing Coach Margraf. Unfortunately, he passed away before I had an opportunity to meet him. But if you go to campus, he has his own shrine. He's the one who started kind of in the early 2000s when Hopkins grew from just the academic football team to the I think it's 17th Centennial Conference Championship since 2005. The first Final Four appearance in 2018 to now back-to-back Final Four appearances. He kind of created our motto, pride and poise. And we don't want to pride and poise. Right? And his joke was, everyone needs to relax. You're not performing open heart surgery yet. And I hear that from Coach Wadika all the time. It's just
amazing. It's a nice line.
It's a great line. But at the end of the day, it is the culture and the players, and we don't want to stray away from that at all, that message. And keeping the roster size at that does play a huge role into it, but also player development too, right? We know these guys want to be here, and we want them to have their best experience. At the end of the day, at the Division III level, it is all about the players and their experience. And I think keeping that roster, it allows you to give each guy the time of day they deserve and they earn. And you can develop. I think a really big part of of our guys is watching the guys as freshmen and sophomores turn into all conference guys, academic All-Americans from their progression, and keeping the roster at 100 allows you to develop those guys, to give them the time of day they need. And then back to the original question, like we're going against Mount Union, and they have 200 guys in their roster, Mary Hart and Baylor, and there's a lot of I wouldn't say a lot of turnover, but a lot of guys, they deal with the portal a lot more than we have to deal with them than the portal. And it's a very different philosophy how they go about it. I don't know the inner details of that one, of each individual schools and how they recruit. They get a lot of good players, and they develop a lot of great talent, of course, to be at that same success every single year. Those national championships, they recruit, they win, and they have a ton of athletes going to play Mary Hart and Baylor. That defensive line we had to get ready for were some big guys.
Right.
Some really big dudes, some really, really talented players on both sides of the ball, receivers. And they can handle a little bit more, as you mentioned, Coach D, those injuries. Like I said, year one, having those three offensive linemen. Luckily, no one had any season-ending injuries, so we were able, like, one kid got hurt, next guy step in, then 2 weeks later someone else gets hurt, but we had the guy get back. Like, that was the one reason why it wasn't such a detrimental to the overall success of the season. But keeping those guys from staying healthy is really, really a big part of having that roster limit. We got lucky the last 2 years of not having to deal with a tremendous ton of injuries, especially like serious season-ending ones.
Right.
But luckily enough, we also have a great strength staff here at Hopkins that helps us a ton with injury prevention. Coach Joe Alexander is one of the best. He's now also the lacrosse. He does lacrosse and football only. So he works with the Big Ten. He's Big Ten quality. Having the Division I lacrosse program does help out a lot.
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah, I wondered if that.
Fucking Paul Rabel, man. I mean, shit, the LeBron of men's lacrosse. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I've met him a couple times and worked with him at some camps, and I'm not a lacrosse guy by any means, but even in that, like, him just talking about the strength and conditioning aspect of it, like, and you know how important all of that is. Like, you see guys at that level that obviously have a tie to your university and your school that preach that, right? Even if it's not the strength coach that was there when he was there, but the fact of how important that kind of stuff is, especially at a higher academic, where the academics do take more of a focus on to still have strength and conditioning be so important. And at the D3 level too, right? With that, like, you know, some guys don't even have full-time strength and conditioning coaches, right? And here you are, look, and I know we talked about it a little bit off air, so many full-time coaches, right? It's one of those questions that I ask almost every one of our Division III guys or lower level guys that come on, like, what's your staff makeup like? Because everybody just thinks it's, you know, Power 4, FBS, like, hey, all these guys, like, they just have coaches and they have strength staffs, and not all staffs are the same built at every level, right? So the like you said, like, some of your first jobs, you're literally the equipment manager and a position coach, right? Like, guys wear a lot of hats. And especially when it comes to that strength and conditioning world, like, a coach may have to go run the weight room or do those types of things in the off season. What does that look like for you guys? What's your off season like with your guys in the weight room? You know, how much are they in there? What's the program look like? You know, you talk about injuries and things of that nature. Do you think that directly obviously correlates with what you guys are doing specifically in the weight room? You know, how does that kind of factor in?
Yeah, absolutely. Great question. The in and out of our actual weight program, I have no idea exactly what's going on, but I will tell you, I love Coach Joe Alexander, and I'm in it because I need to be able to talk about it to recruits. So obviously without spring ball, they're working out 4 times a week, 3 lifts, 1 field workout. At the Division III level, rules have it we're not allowed to be there. They're quote unquote volunteer lifts, things like that, just because of the NCAA rules.
Right.
But the way it works here is Coach Joe Alexander has a ton of tools to his disposal. We have When we do field work, our guys are wearing the catapults, that GPS trackers.
Wow.
We have I'm trying to think the name of it. Not jump pads, but they're the basically, if you have those flat pads where you jump and it tells you how high you jump.
Right.
It's the next
Coach
level.
Schuman's got one in his garage, bro.
I believe that.
I have OBR. I have OBR. Listen, I was just.
He's got his son's already on it, man.
Other hurdles this morning. I bought 4 hurdles too, regular hurdles.
Like true track hurdles.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, regular track
for the
hurdles.
hip mobility. Is he going up and
Only
under
for that, not to jump.
No, yeah.
Yep. Hip mobility first, then eventually jumping. Then I mean, but
It's a progression.
He's on a 24-inch box.
It's phenomenal. It's
yeah. Crevani, you see what I do? Oh, it's great. It's great. It's awesome, dude. My favorite is the lifetime treadmills, dude. Those things are amazing.
Those things are good. Planet Fitness has some really nice equipment too.
Yeah.
These treadmills are like, the one is like non-motorized. You guys probably have them in your weight room.
Yeah, we do. I know what you're talking about. Yep. They're like
curved. Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, they're self-propelled.
Yeah, so like I'm like, dude, I paid all this money for this lifetime membership. Like we're getting up on these like elite things in the winter when it's freezing. So we get up on there.
Is it the Lifetime in Montvale?
No, well, I live down in Lincoln.
We're in like the Shorey area.
Yeah.
So we're like down. So don't worry, there's one close to Coach Schu's house. He's there.
5 minutes.
It's the same. You know what I mean? Like it's a Lifetime Fitness. It's got it all. But it's just so crazy to me because obviously in comparison to the D3 world that I lived in, Montclair State, like we're talking, and to have a program, to have another sport that's at a higher level, right? I think that in itself, right now, okay, so. Division I facilities and all those everybody else can reap those rewards. You know what I'm saying? So even though by definition it's a Division III program, you're still at a Division I standard, right? Because when people think Johns Hopkins, most people not having a clue or doing any research would assume that football follows in suit with wherever lacrosse, right? Because that's what's in the limelight. That's what people see. They see Johns Hopkins every year, Memorial Day weekend, Johns Hopkins, somewhere in that Final Four, right? Like throwing it around at Navy and Annapolis, Maryland, all that world, right? So now here we are, check out our facilities, check out what we're doing, right? You know what I mean? Like those kids go there thinking, all right, like here's what it is. That obviously in recruiting is a huge appeal for a guy. Facilities we know play a role no matter what, especially with kids like, in today's world.
Like facilities and the weight room specifically, it's my favorite. So talking about those pads, those jump pads, the ones that we get and we use they do a little bit more than your vert jump. It's split in two. So like as guys do it, he makes them jump on them. It tells you how much force you produce, your peak power, how high, which leg gave more. And they use that to kind of as like a starting point. And he'll use it throughout camp. I know we're talking off season, but like day one, you got to get a base jump.
Of course.
Use that to track like how's fatigue. Are we getting tired? Can he push a little bit harder during this day, or does he need to do like he'll put all that into his lifts and he'll readjust based off the numbers he's getting and things like that. And then each one of our squat racks have a Tendo unit which tracks bar speed.
There you go.
So like he'll each Tendo unit, he'll have each position on a different kind of plan. So like offensive lineman, we want to be more like explosive from zero, like fast movement and short amount of span. So we'll do, he has like, you need to be between this meters per second and this meter per second. If you're too high, add weight. If you're too low, you got to take weight off. So his programs, there are no more guessing. It's exactly based off
what
of
you see.
Studies he's reading, and there's no more, you feel good, put on more weight. It's like,
bullshit. No, it's like, no, I can actually tell you exactly where you're at, right? Like it's something that's visible for those guys. We talk about that a lot with, the feed the cats aspect of it, Tony Holler, right? Like that everything is a rank record published. Like they put the data visible so everyone can see it. I mean, look, and that creates competition, right? With nobody wants to be at the bottom of a list. And especially those things that are like, you know, you can measure them first. Like nobody's not going to try and jump as hard as they can. Like it's just what it is.
Competition's awesome too. And he'll turn on like, and we do it during spring ball. Like we think promoting competition is awesome. So in the weight room, he'll do at the end of a lift, he'll just put like 135 on the bar, and instead of doing speed, he'll put on like most power, whatever wattage. Who can jump squat, or who can squat the most wattage? Like who's going to produce like the most power, and have everybody go and see who can get the highest. And for us in spring ball, we every single practice during spring ball, just to kind of, especially without having shoulder pads and at D3, to kind of get rid of the monotonous of just indie. We'll go 10-minute period of some sort of competition. Guys have teams. We're doing football, like big man catching competitions, tug of war, those kind of things, just to kind of get the guys competing in a new, and kind of like switch that, like get them refocus on something. Because you can do 45 to an hour of indie straight, and the offensive linemen are like,
miserable.
I need a break. So we'll our 2-hour practice, like hour in, we'll break it up, do a little fun things, get them focused on something else that's going to help, and then get them right back, refocus into work right after that, which I think is a huge part. Because again, I love football. I can give clinics on different inside zone, mid zones for like 2 hours at a time, but the guys, short attention spans, you got to be able to break it up, give them something else to kind of give them a break and make them laugh a little bit. Some of the funniest moments is watching it. We do things as dumb as egg tosses. So watching a guy try to toe tap an egg without cracking it, him falling on it and having a crack on his chest, watching all the guys rip him, it's great.
I think that stuff builds camaraderie within the team too, right? Because the guys, like, sometimes, and especially for how rigorous their off the field stuff is, non-football, academic, right? Like it's all the prim, proper, you know what I mean? Like to break that up, I think for guys that are, you know, just want to compete and play football, but it does get monotonous, right? Like the same thing over and over, like individual, team, you know, like the whole just routine of football, because it's so much routine, especially in season, like, you know, week to week to week for the prep work and stuff, to break certain little things up and like they'll now in the, like, you know, you might not be doing that stuff in season, but at some point it'll break up. And hey, remember when we did, like, it adds those guys that extra little bit of, hey, it's not like, you know, we got to change it up a little bit. And I think that helps guys, right, kind of buy in even more so when it does get tough and it does get, you know, what are we doing? Here we go again. The same footwork, the same steps, all that kind of stuff. You got to switch it up, especially with this generation, right? Like they're just so quick to look elsewhere or see something else because they get that instant gratification stuff. It's just they're wired different.
Yeah, absolutely. And especially here at Hopkins, a lot of these guys are super high achievers, and a lot of them, like, they hold themselves to their own standards, way higher standards, and like some like individuals be like, oh, I got a 3.4 this semester, that's not good enough. And
they're so pissed.
And I'm like, you need to take a step back, like, have high goals. You still achieve, like having a 3.4 at Johns Hopkins, whatever your major is.
It's a 4.0 somewhere else. Like,
it's really impressive. Sometimes hey, it might not be at your standard. You still achieve, like, you set that standard. If you worked as hard as you could and got that 3.4, be proud of it. Take notes, learn to get a little bit better from it, see where you could maybe improve. But if you did everything you could and you got that 3.4, be really proud of it, because it's still really good. But those little events helps them kind of see that too. Like, oh, we can be a successful football program and have egg tosses. You can do those things. You can have success and still have fun when you do it the right way, the appropriate time, and you don't kind of lose focus in a say of the overall thing. I think that's the big thing, is like you can have those fun moments. You can have that team camaraderie as long as you're able to keep the focus and understand the ultimate goal, and that is to get to that ultimate goal, which here is a national championship, is to not lose focus but still have fun and still buy in and enjoy your time here, because doesn't matter how successful you are, if you're not having fun, then why are you doing it, especially at this level? I think that's a big proponent of it as well.
No doubt about it. Kind of shifting gears, interesting. I'm curious because a lot of people think they can play at Johns Hopkins. You know, what I mean, they think they have good enough academic standards. You know, I'm a really good player, but you know, let's say, I don't know, the average person that gets in there is like high 1500 SAT person or whatever. You know, I'm a 1350, you know, am I good enough academically to get in there? Blah, blah, blah. I think that's a big question that a lot of like players that end up being Division III players, but they actually don't end up getting in there or don't end up being good enough. Like, what do you like to say is kind of like the standard things that they need to have? Obviously, everything's individual a little bit, but like
Yes.
just so so people kind of understand in general, because I always think there's a lot of like misinformation. Like I don't know. I could go to Johns Hopkins. I'm like, wait a minute. Like
You're like,
all right. First of all, okay, are you like a borderline Division I player?
correct.
Okay, and what level of academics correlate to that? And then if you're quote unquote like a D3 guy, but like what are your scores? Because they're gonna have to be a way higher. You're probably gonna have to get in on your own. Like, so talk a little bit about that part of it.
Yeah. Every school is a little different. Obviously, coming from Union, I know Hopkins is a little different tier than, because it is a top 10 university in the world.
Absolutely.
High academic. There's high academic, and then there's the top tier universities.
Right.
So the Division III world, a lot of those high academic schools, they have a little bit more leeway in terms of, some of them are still test optional, things like that, where if you have a strong transcript, but maybe you're not a great test taker, your football abilities may give you that little bit of leeway and things like that. Some schools have a little bit more leeway than others, especially the ones that are very high academic, but aren't on that. They're like maybe top 25, top 50, but aren't in that top tier echelon.
Right.
Here at Johns Hopkins, it is academics are a huge part of it. We tell guys we're test mandatory now. Admissions is going to look at your entire portfolio, so your transcripts, your clubs, things like that. All that matters, and will have an effect. And being test mandatory now, like our middle 50% of all students are a 1520 on the SAT, everything super score, and a 34 on the ACT. And that's what we tell recruits have to get. Get as high as you can, get as close to that as you possibly can. At the end of the day, it's going to be your whole academic portfolio. So I'm not saying if you get, some guys get those test scores and they won't get in. Some guys get below it, slightly below it, but maybe they went to a very high school, a bunch of different things. So again, they're going to look at your whole academic background. So all that matters, being a complete person outside of football, outside of your academic rings. That all matters. There is no one, hey, if you do this and this, you're going to get in. All depends on the year and things like that. In terms of the football aspect of it, we're lucky where we have that national brand. A lot of Division III schools don't have a national brand behind them.
Correct.
So because we're Johns Hopkins, we do have to recruit nationally, and it helps because our pool is smaller than most, just off of that academic rip. But because we recruit nationally, we do have that ability to be selective, where because we have our roster limit at about a 100, Not everybody that do meet the requirements get an offer. It's the way it is. We're going to look at it. If they do meet all the academic requirements, you can be a good athlete. Like, you're getting looks by Division III, but maybe you don't have the size to go Division I and things like that. You will still get looked at by us. Biggest thing for us is go to those camps. Like, we're big on live evals. Camps are really important. But I do think there's going to be certain, like, the camp circuit to me has become, a lot of it is a money grab. I think go where you're invited.
Which is so surprising at the college level to me.
Yeah.
Especially the Division I schools who really don't need to have 7,000 people. I feel like they're recruiting fans for their college. That's what
they're doing. They're doing a much, I'd say a lot of Division I schools are doing a lot better keeping their camps at a realistic 50, 40 guys.
Oh, they are? Okay.
A lot of the smaller schools. The mega camps.
Yeah, that's where you see those mega. I mean, we literally just had the biggest one here in Jersey, obviously, that they host at FDU.
Yep.
They literally just put out the rhetoric last week of, like, here's the date, here's what it is. Like, here's already the schools that have signed up for it. I mean, it's insane. We talk to guys all the time, and it's how many reps did you get?
But I would never. Like people ask me this all the time. I'm like, well, it also depends on what your footprint is in recruiting standpoint, what you've been doing, building relationship-wise. Good.
No, you're good. So when I say money grab, there's so much that goes into it. Like,
right.
If I'm a recruit, and I'm not big, I don't have any stars, I'm doing all this. Like, you think, oh, mega camp, I'm going to get all this exposure. In reality, it's like there's 7, like Bone is the big one, Best of New England. I love that camp. They do a tremendous job of developing players, doing all this. As a high academic school,
yeah,
I see 700 players. I can probably recruit 100 max of these guys. I'm not going to see the reps that I need out of those 100 guys I'm evaluating. That's a great camp to start. Like, maybe you had a great rep. That's going to be the start of something. I think you want to go to one mega camp, right? Mega camp at the level that you want to go to, catch someone's eyes, and then after that, you're going to want to go to the schools that are actively reaching out to you. Like, guys that we are impressed by film, love the Ivy League camps. If you want to be a high academic guy,
Right.
Division I or Division III, whatever level, Division II as well, like, go to the Ivy League camps. They're gonna cap out at 100.
Marist does a really good one up
Marist is
north,
gonna
like
do
with
it.
and they tab it like high academic camp, like that's who they invite, and those are the schools that are there just to kind of get that more of a focus on, hey, like, you ain't coming here if you're just whatever type of GPA guy. Like, you got to be a high academic guy, and that's who goes there. What about year-wise? Like, what's your suggestion? And I want you to continue, like, your thought, but what year should I go to a camp? Like, when do I start to hit this? Is it after my freshman year of high school? Is it sophomore, junior? Is junior year too late to start to form those relationships? Because we were talking a little bit off air about some guys, and you're like, hey, 2026 is done. Like, they have to be at 2027 at this point, where I know a lot of Division IIIs push that calendar a little later because of the transfer portal and all of those things that are going on at the higher levels, that now the D3 can kind of keep that door open and not set something in stone, maybe even as late as, May, June, right? Like, they may be out of high school and still not, maybe get a spot or whatever. What does that calendar look like for you guys?
Yeah. So I'll finish the camp dot and I'll go into that. That one makes me.
Yeah, I don't want to cut you off.
No, you're good. Those high academic camps are great for the borderline tweener guys that, like, I want to go, like, academics is really important to me, like Ivy League camps, because Ivy League camps going to have all the high academic D3D schools at them. I think one mega camp is good to get your foot in the door. And then if you're being seriously looked at by an FCS school, by a big time school, and their coaches is constant contact with you,
right,
and then they invite you to their camp, be serious. Like, that's where you go. And then if you're like, for us, we go to West Coast Elite and we go to Redlands. that's the only time we're in the West Coast. So if we're recruiting somebody from California, we have a lot of guys from California. Like,
yeah, I was looking at your roster, man. You said national. You weren't screwing around. I mean, there's guys from Canada. I mean, Dave, it's 100%. We know those academic schools pulled national before recruiting national was a big thing, right? But I mean, there are guys from all over California. I mean, just up and down the East Coast, Texas, you know what I mean? Like, you guys have your footprint. Oh, Michigan. I mean, there's dudes from all over. Of course, I see an old Japan guy, you know what I mean? A couple of those have yeah, but which is awesome. And Dave, we understand there's a couple of our guys on there. Josh Moore's on there from Tom's River, right?
I love Josh.
A couple of those guys. It's awesome. Go ahead. Keep talking about that a little bit more with your West Coast footprint.
No, so our three biggest states actually are California, Texas, and New Jersey. So three wildly different areas. Wow. You got West Coast, East Coast, and as central as you can get. But like, we'll be out in the West Coast twice. So like, those are mega camps for us because we have to, like, we need as many people, and we'll push you. Like, if we're seriously recruiting you and we're like, you need to go to this mega camp because it's the only time we'll be able to see you, do it, right? Because that's us going to the West Coast. Like, if you're getting seriously pushed, go to the mega camps. But if you're not getting recruited by any of those schools, just go to one mega camp as many coaches and see if you can start that initial contact, that initial relationship. And then once that initial relationship is established, then listen to like where they're pushing you to go to. I know the Monmouth coaches are going to be as honest with you as possible. That's where I kind of learned a little bit of my recruiting philosophy. They're going to tell you, like, come to our camp and like, let's see it. And they offer a ton of guys straight from their camp, right? Because they've been recruiting them. They just have a few more questions left to go. And then sometimes you go to that camp and you didn't wow them enough, but at least they know what they saw, and they're going to have you, and you can ask them and they're going to tell you the truth. They'll be, hey, coach, how'd you think of my camp performance? Like, it could have been good, but maybe it wasn't offerable, and you're going to still keep that contact, and they're going to go through senior evals and things like that. But go where they're pushing, go who's showing interest. That's really important. Just don't show up on a whim and hope something's going to happen, because a lot of chances it won't. I do think one mega camp is good to just kind of make use of your reps. You don't get a ton, but after that one, go to the places that are pushing for you. It's really important. And then off of that, remind me of that question one more time that you asked. I know I lost it on my train of thought.
No, the just like, what year do you think, right? Like, as a freshman, sophomore, like, at what point are you behind the 8 ball? Are you too far ahead? Like, we're not talking middle school here. You know what I'm saying? Like, what are we doing? Right. And it's obviously, it's something that we discuss all the time on here, is like, when is that sweet spot of like getting into that? I don't want to call it branding or marketing, but branding and marketing yourself as a player. My philosophy, and especially since being around Coach Shu, still coaching high school guys, like, if we can identify that you're going to be a player, then, and depending on what you do your freshman year, right? Do you play varsity? Are you just a JV guy, right? Or are you a sophomore? If you're a sophomore and you've played varsity and you're at that's when I would say 1 or 2 in that off season to kind of gauge where you're at, you know what I mean? In terms of, okay, which way, just so you can get some rock hard data. Cause I don't think most high school guys ain't getting out there on a vert mat or doing some of that stuff that really want to talk about the measurables, or just to see where you shape up against some of the higher level guys. I think that's a big one too, because you're not just really good at your, group 1, whatever, New Jersey football team. Like, get out and see everything. And especially with you guys on a national level, I think helps to gauge that for those guys when they stack up against the bigger picture of who they're getting recruited with and against. I think that stuff kind of matters, but I'd love to hear your take on when you think personally, or just your program, when that should kind of take place.
Yeah. For us, we're a little bit different because we got to wait for the test scores.
Right.
So for us, like, we're going to start, we wrap up 2026 after our early decision 2 deadline, because because we're high academics, we have to get everyone signed early decision, just the way it works in this world. So we end up in middle of January. We wrapped up, done with our class, and then we go right around probably right now we start 27s. We're gonna start getting through their academic portfolios. We need at least their sophomore year stuff to kind of gauge where they stand, and then we'll start pushing them to the camps we're gonna be to. Pretty much bet we'll be at all the Ivy League camps, a couple of the Redlands, West Coast elites, and we'll push the guys we're super serious about to those. And then June we start, we open our pre-reads, we'll get pre-reads, and the guys that impressed us the most at camps will get our initial offers. And then we'll hold on, like we'll be honest with guys that we're super interested in. For us, there's a couple reasons why you don't get an offer right away. Maybe we want to see senior film, or maybe you were just like, you're not our top guy, but you're
on the board.
Not on the board. Like you're high up there on the board. So we'll tell you the truth that way. And we'll go all the way till December to give offers from there on. And we'll be honest with you, but we start in June, middle of July with our initial offers. And then we wrap up just winter. Because we were able to, we get a month off of shooting. But now I'll get into my experiences elsewhere. Is Coach Jimmy Robertson, now offensive coordinator at Monmouth,
Yeah.
He was a longtime FDU head coach, left me with a great saying. He calls it ABC, which is always be recruiting. So guys that get into it a little bit late, maybe didn't go to any camps at all. Don't be discouraged. There's going to be a place for you. Division III schools that need to get rosters filled, that are always looking to get guys. You will be able to get a spot all the way up till the summer before camp starts. Those guys will always look to add in pieces because of how volatile a lot of those state schools are. You're not going to know, maybe a kid, financial aid changes, they can't go to school anymore. It's unfortunate, but a spot opens up. Like those schools will always be looking for somebody late. Don't be discouraged. And especially now with the transfer portal, look at that as an opportunity. I think a lot of players get hard on themselves, and there's always times to be like, you can always find the positive in everything. I think,
Right.
Oh, I don't have a spot to play at yet, and it's May of my senior year. It's like, take a step back, continue working hard. If this is what you really, really want, there's going to be an opportunity for you somewhere. But if it's not the opportunity you thought it was, you can't look at it that way. If it's your only opportunity at that point, there's a certain point where, all right, take it, bet on yourself, and you never know what might happen. I think having a positive mindset, don't get discouraged by some of the things around you is important. But in terms of the other one, because everyone's big dream, and one of the things that we have to deal with too here is still that Division I tag. Looking at a camp, I think honestly, you won't get looked at your freshman year at all. But if you want to get numbers initially, go to a camp where the focus is not recruiting, but the focus is on development. I think it's always good to get out there, get better at football. I don't think it's a bad thing to go to camp early. Don't go to camp with expectations of I'm going to get interest or I'm going to get offered. No, use it as an opportunity to get better. What drills can I take from here? What stations did we do athletically, like 5-10 5s, L drills? What can I take from this to get better at, just to start kind of knowing what to do? Because a lot of guys too, there's not a lot of strength programs at every single high school. You can use those one camps to kind of gauge what can I do to get better at so-and-so. And then it's really the guys that have the size early on. Going into your junior year is probably the biggest time for Division I, because that sophomore to junior year is where a lot of the Division I schools are going to start getting out their offers. So like getting ready for your junior year, that's when schools at that level are going to be serious about you. you wow them at that camp, they're going to be watching your junior film. And as soon as that junior season's over is where the offers are going to start coming nowadays. Like right now is when these FCS schools are handing out their offers to the 27s. 27s are getting their offers out right now. I see it all over Twitter right now. This is the time where 27s are going to get their offers, and it's not it's not too late for a 27 to go to camp and get an offer still this year going into your senior year. You're a little bit behind the 8 ball, but you're not. It's not the end of the world. It's going into your junior years, that initial contact, the best guys in the class will get offered after their junior year film because that's what wowed them. They had the initial, okay, they were good. As sophomores, their film confirmed it. We're going to offer them. Then there's guys that were okay. Their film was still good. Now let's get them to camp, see what that year did for them in development. And that's kind of like the earlier in your junior class, though, is important. Right. So once you're a junior, you got to go to those camps in June. Don't wait till July. Because once you start going in July, that's when, if Division I's your only thought process, the earlier you go to camps, the better. Right. Because that's when they're going to offer. And then the classes start to fill out because just the way it's going now, everyone's committing a lot sooner. But June is when you need to be out at those camps. Don't wait till July. The sooner the better that these camps are going on for you going into your senior year, just because classes will fill up. And then they'll always have a few spots where maybe a guy doesn't say yes and they commit somewhere else. That's when the senior eval films goes into it. But after June, camping, June going into your senior year, camping's kind of slowed down a little bit. You might be able to get one or two late offers, but they're pretty much waiting for their senior eval guys at that point.
No doubt about it. I'm curious too if you advise them to, like, if you think that's important for players once they're like starting to go through the process, like, would you want them to reach, I'm thinking of going to Hopkins camp or going to like Princeton and you guys are going to be there, let's say. Mm-hmm. Would you encourage them before they go to the camp to like reach out to you and say, hey, am I on your board? Because that's always there are parents that are overzealous, meaning they call too much type of deal. And then there are, parents, most parents, kids, I think, are underzealous, meaning they don't even reach out and they show up blindly. And they're like, oh, that camp was a scam. It's like, no, you should have reached out to figure out if you were within the radar. Unless you're going to run I always say this, unless you walk in the door and you're 6'6" or you run a 4.40, you can show up blind because they'll have a clock on you or they'll see you. But outside of that, should if they're a guy that's maybe getting, I don't know, have some communication with it, should they reach out if you guys are going to be somewhere to say, hey, do you think it's worthwhile to come out and bet in front of you guys?
Yeah, absolutely. I think people look at questionnaires on recruiters' forums and be like, oh, they're not looking at that. Questionnaires are really, especially for us arms, our database is so important for us because it helps organize. DMs are really important, and we catch them, but we have so many.
I can imagine.
Don't get discouraged if we don't respond to every single one. We want to, and we're not ignoring you. I would my advice to guys, especially specifically Hopkins, fill out our questionnaire. We look at every single person that fills it out. Fill it out to completion. Put in your GPA, put in your film. If you don't have your transcript, we understand, but we have the ability to do that. It helps us out. But it also gives us the opportunity, if you fill out our questionnaire, I promise you, the first thing we look at is your transcript. And then after that, I promise you, we watch all your film. We organize our board. And sometimes, right now, I have 127s that I have to go through in my questionnaire just for my area. And I'm going to get through all of them. I'm not able to DM every single person. But if that person, I'll follow everyone that I'm actually interested in. I'll follow them on Twitter. I'll do that. And then if they reach out to me and tell me, hey, I see you're at this camp, I'm going to know it. And that's going to help me. I may not respond to you, but I'll be like, okay, he's going to be at Yale. I'd cross his name off. And what we do as a staff is every time we're at one of those Ivy League camps, we send a picture of who's there. And each one of our coaches will tell us, oh, this guy sent me a DM. He's going to be there. Take a look at him. He told me he's going to be here. And it's just a reminder for us. Like, there's a bunch of guys that we're recruiting. There's a bunch of guys that filled this out. There's a bunch of guys in our class. A good reminder, because there'll be a week where we're at 3 different camps. We'll all be at Columbia, Yale, Princeton, because they all went back-to-back days. I'm on the road. I'm not with my computer all the time. Like, that DM right there is going to make it a lot easier for us to spot you at a camp. So I do think it's really important. And don't get discouraged. My biggest thing is don't get discouraged if we don't get to you. I promise we see it. It's really hard, and I'm going to do my best to get to every single one. But even that, like, quick, hey, coach, I'm at the camp. Even if it's the morning of, like, before camp starts, I'm scrolling through Twitter. I'm not responding because I got to get out of the car, but I'm like, oh, he's there. I remember him. That is just like a quick reminder. It shoots to the top of my DM. Like, do it. We might not respond, but I promise you we see it.
That's a very, very important point.
That's so important.
Because, it's one of the things, like, when people ask me this all the time, and I'm like, well, I'm like, listen, you can reach out a few times if for some reason you think maybe they missed out or something like that, but they're going to look at, like, there's a couple things that are happening. Like, if they don't jump on it right away, A, you may not be a priority. B, may not be a priority at this time, meaning, like, you're too early, whatever the process. And then C, you also have to say, okay, maybe they're not interested, right? So, you have to, be able to understand that part of it. I think part of the culture, that parents and athletes have to understand, and correct me if I'm wrong, it's, you guys are, you're full-time coaches, and your job is to have success and win games and those kind of things. And that's an important thing for them to understand, that time and efficiency is a very, very valuable part of what you guys do. Right. And they have to understand what that is, because they're so used to, I think, parents from the time they're in youth, and, and you probably remember when you were in high school, right? Like, they're used to getting a response from, let's say, the head coach at a high school level, right? Like, I reach out, I send an email, I call, you're probably going to get a general response, right? When they're in youth, similar type of thing, you're going to get a response, because that's kind of the process when you're in a community. You're not actually in the community when you're reaching out to a college coach. You're not part of their system yet. You're trying to be part of their system, but you're not. And so they're not used to that. And I try to tell them, it's like, you cannot allow feelings to be involved as much as you can. Obviously, everyone,
there's some level, of course,
some level, but you want to try and be rational in your approach, because when you're rational in your approach, you can get to your desired goal and the right fit and all those kind of things. Correct me if I'm wrong on that, because I think that's one of the things that, like, people take offense, obviously, and for no reason, because they don't realize that you have a job to do, and they still think in a high school mode. That's the only way I can put it. Like, they think it's in a high school mode. Like, I reach out, AD responds to me. I reach out to head coach responds to me, right? Talk a little bit about that, because I think parents and athletes don't, for the most part, understand it. Now, you're dealing with a different clientele, so I would say that you probably, for the most part, more of the kids that you work with do understand that better. But kind of talk about that. I'm sure at Monmouth you might have dealt with that more. You know what I mean, right? Like, so talk a little bit about that.
Yeah. A lot of it too is, I think, recruiting is a stressful time for the families and stuff, and a lot of people deal with, I wouldn't say it's a time filled with adversity, but when you start kind of like seeing, I know a lot of people panic when they see
Right.
my friends getting this offer, this guy's getting this offer, and this, and like, what's going to happen with me? And I think a lot of it too is some people don't grasp how big the football world is, like where there's thousands and thousands of football players, and there's not a ton of opportunities. And it's just everyone. I think there's an opportunity for everyone, and it's taking a step back and evaluating kind of, you may not agree with what people think about you or people evaluate yourself, but take a step back, self-evaluate. And if you don't agree with what people whether evaluate you as, whether you believe in yourself a lot more, you can bet on yourself, and don't be discouraged by it. I think having a positive attitude about it, and as long as you work as hard as you can, there's nothing you should be discouraged about. And having that, I know that went a little bit different of a route, and that's just a personal one, but it's kind of that, I think, an overall view of, you're not the only one that's fighting for these same offers.
Right.
You want to separate yourself and kind of, how can I promote myself in the best way where I can differentiate myself from a similar type player or something like that? Like, how can I give myself,
how do you stand out?
How do I stand out? And that kind of, there's so many different ways to do it. But don't, like, again, you have to recognize that in order to not be discouraged or be upset that a coach didn't respond to you. Hey,
Right.
Maybe you tried that DM and it didn't stand out the way you thought it was going to. Don't be discouraged about it. Maybe try a different route. Maybe, all right, he didn't respond to my DM. I know he follows me and I know this. I'll go up to him before the camp. Like, I love when a player comes up to me before a camp and be like, hey, coach, I sent you this DM at this time. I'm so-and-so, just reminding you. I don't like when guys like try to ask me questions before the camp, like, hey, this, that, tell me who you are. Be really quick about it, because camp's about to start. And there might be somebody I'm going to talk to myself, but I would love for you to come up to me. Just tell me your name. Tell me you reached out to me. Separate yourself. Don't be there's those screenagers that want to do everything behind a phone just because they're a little nervous to go up to you. But I do really think that in-person connection and that confidence does separate yourself a little bit from the Twitter DMs, and it gives me a face to see. But don't, like, be respectful of the coach's time. Like,
Absolutely.
You're not the only people there. You'll shake my hand. I'm going to shake your hand. Tell me your name, position. Like, if you did DM me, goes, hey, I DM'd you this day. I'll make sure, like, oh, damn, okay, now I'll go back to it, and now I know I'm going to be watching you at camp. Like, that stuff goes a long way.
Is there any value to them, like, handing you a card, like a business card with their info on it?
I think so. It definitely is great.
Makes it easier, right?
Yeah, it's definitely great. I enjoyed getting them. It helps me go straight to their profiles and things like that. I know some guys just go right away and, like, ask me for my Twitter and follow me. That works too, but it's cleaner with the business cards. I don't think it's necessary.
Right.
But for high academic schools too, if you just have your, like, here's my name, here's my Twitter, GPA, and test scores, if you have them, like, that's perfect.
Right.
That's like right there, right off the bat, I got everything I need. I don't think it helps you stand out anymore. Like, that's not going to be a difference maker, but it does.
Right, because that's
you might
the
take a
norm.
look at their stuff, right?
Yes.
You might at
Just
least
makes it easier to take a look, right? Like, it's all about, I think,
of Eric
accessibility,
Beach,
right?
Derek. I always think of
Yeah.
Eric
Oh,
Beach
yeah.
when he handed me his business card when he was like in
Man.
7th grade.
Now guys have a
But the
freaking.
truth is,
wristband
I
and they're
still
like,
know
"Here,
who he
scan
is
this."
because of that. So,
Or they have a QR
know,
code,
like-
right? Like, but you think about Coach being at one of these camps, like, he may get 15 business cards, or, hey, scan this. Like, hey, Coach, if you want my, like, I'd love for you to have my stuff. Scan this like, guys have their own QR codes, for Christ's sakes. How long before we see guys, and you may have seen it already, like, guys literally wearing a T-shirt with a QR code on it, just saying, scan my shit. Like,
I never thought that was a bad idea.
But if you think about it, and Steve, we
That's
talk
a good
about this
idea.
all the time, right? Like any way to separate yourself and make the world easier for the coach
Yep.
is in your benefit, because coaches go to these camps and they're looking for a way to cross you off the list, not put you onto a list because you're already on it. You know what I mean? Like, okay, that's not for me. He's not for me. Like that's coaches want it easy, especially at your level where you're wearing so many hats. You don't have a guy that's particular for, hey, this guy's my recruiting guy. I mean, we see some position coaches, they don't even have to do any of this aspect, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're just given a list of, hey, these are the guys, right? We want you to focus on coaching. We'll handle all the recruiting stuff with GMs and that aspect of college football that's so different at the higher levels than with you guys. For you guys, it's mainly make it as easy as possible, and then we can take that next step. Now that I know who you are, where you are, and all that other kind of shit.
Yep, and a really thing that just reminded me that you said is like we're looking for things to cross you off. I don't necessarily think we're looking for it, but things that like the little details, again, I know this is a big coaching saying, do matter. Like for me, when I see our questionnaire filled out and I notice the guy put something wrong in there, like maybe they just they mistyped their GPA. Like sometimes we get negative 2.9 GPA and the kid has a 4.0. It's just like those little details, like
right, they matter.
And like that, like as much as I don't want that to impact something, but like those tiny details, like if you can't fill out a questionnaire, how much did you really care about this one school?
Or did mom or dad fill it out?
Yes, that one's
I've seen that shit too. I'm like, look, like you got to cut the cord. Like if Jimmy ain't freaking filling this out and you expect him to play college football, we're in a totally different space here, right? Like it's a questionnaire. Like
the questionnaire is a little funny to me, because sometimes we'll get.
Oh.
Uh-oh. Did we lose him?
We lose him? Did we lose him? We did lose him. Guess that Johns Hopkins, they've got to pay that internet bill there at Johns Hopkins.
Buddy.
You know, there he is.
Hey!
I
said they got to pay that. They got to pay that internet bill at Johns Hopkins.
No,
Come on.
I know. But sometimes we'll get questionnaires filled out from guys as far away as like a 2020 or 2029 guy, and I'm like, I'm assuming their parents have filled this out, but like that's relaxing going this far too soon. But like those tiny details, I honestly, like, this is a personal preference, those guys that do send long DMs,
oh god,
introducing themselves, like totally fine. Make sure that you don't, again, like I know the guys that have a prompt sometimes don't switch out schools, like that stuff is going to be off-putting right away. Like, hey coach, I'm super interested in John, like somebody doesn't put, like, left the last school they copied and pasted to.
Right.
Like that stuff, like that detail matters. Like I'm okay. Like I know you, like you're trying to promote your own brand. Like you're going to send this mass message to a lot of schools. I think a way to separate yourself, individualize those message. It's not
absolutely.
It's not like a definite, like I'm not going to respond to you if you send me a copy or paste message, but do the little details of making sure you, like if you're doing the coach's name, getting the coach's name right. If you're doing a school, changing the schools out, like that. Those details do matter, and don't copy and paste the same message because I didn't respond to you. I much honestly, like I got a ton of it more last year of guys just sending that massive message and then going, hey coach, just bumping it to the top of your inbox. I'd much rather that than just copy it, because that means that you went through, saw I didn't respond. You didn't just go through another coach's name, copy and paste. Like, I'm like, all right, I didn't get a response to this. I'm like, I'm just bumping this to the top of your inbox. Like, I respect that a lot more than copy and paste. It tells me you're just going through a list of copy and pasting the same thing over. This guy's like, oh, he didn't respond to me. I'll see if I can do it again. Because it's a little bit like I'm not going to.
It's like the girl that didn't respond. You're just going to annoy the shit out of her until she says something.
Yeah, no. Instead, it's just like bump into it. Like I was like, that one, like, I respect you went back, you took the time to see who responded to you. I didn't. You're still interested. Great. You're not just going to copy and paste. Like, now I'm going through my messages and like, it's the same message over and over and over and over again.
That's a great point.
It's a very great point.
Yeah, really good point.
We actually just had a receivers coach. He responded to a big message from a recruit, responded, had some back and forth, and then the same recruit copied and pasted the same message and sent it back after they had some dialogue. And he goes, and that's probably going to be it.
Right.
Just because that little detail shows us like how interested were you really, to where you kind of forgot that you had a full conversation with with another coach.
Yeah, well, especially at like a super high academic school where that's part of your evaluation.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like where, some other schools, if it's not a high academic school, you just feel like this kid might not be the, a rocket scientist. So whereas
but here they really are.
You might actually have some rocket scientists and some a lot of MDs coming through you. So where it's just a different kind of standard.
Mm-hmm.
And that's, I think, that's a good point, because it's really part of your evaluation. It's like, hey man, we need you. You're going to have to go to Johns Hopkins here. Like if you can't figure this part out, it's probably going to be hard for you.
Yep.
Right. I mean, I think and that's also part of why they should get on campus, get to know, like if they're starting to build a relationship, get to know you, because they can hear those things from you. So when they do interact with you post camp or something like that, they understand that, okay, this is the better way to do it. Because otherwise you're just going to get the cut and paste schools that give you offers too. Because there are a few of those, the cut and paste, please come to my horrible Division III program. And but there are, and then what happens is you get caught and those kids realize, oh, that's not a place I want to be at.
Yep.
And then they're like, like what do I do? And that's what you end up getting. So
I think, we haven't talked about this yet. Getting the campus is really important, not just for you trying to get an offer, but for you, like, especially at the Division III level, it's not always about football. Again, I'm referencing our defensive line coach, Coach Rio. I learned, he's a year older than me, but I feel like I've learned so much from him in general. But he said my first time touring a recruit here, he shadowed me because I didn't know the campus that great, and he finished the recruiting standpoint with this question and goes to the recruit, like, how much do you love football? Why football? And the kid answered, and he stopped and he goes, you know why I asked that question? He goes, no. He goes, at the Division III level, it's more than just football. He goes, especially at Johns Hopkins and those high academic schools, you have to love the grind. You're going to have to wake up at 6 a.m., go to practice. And then you're going to have to go take a midterm at 9:30 or 9:30 in the morning. You're gonna have to study 10 o'clock at night, wake up in the morning, take a test, then go to practice, go lift weights, all in the meantime trying to eat and do all those small things to get better at football. And it's a grind. My first head coach said, you're not playing Division III football if you don't sit at the edge of your bed at least one or two times. Like, is this worth it? Because you have
100%.
You have to love it. You have to love football, but you also have to be at a place where you can have that support where it feels like you belong, right? Because if football, like if you're going through the grind, no matter what it is, like in life, in work, you're going to hit points and times where you have adversity, where things are going to just feels like everything is piling on top of it. No matter what you do, no matter what you're doing at that time, like if you're not at a place where you feel like you have a good support system, where you're having fun, where you can find comfort in those in those times off, where again, culture, where I don't have a buddy where I can go tap him on the shoulder, like, we're going through this together, I love you, man, like, let's do it. Like, if you don't have that, or you don't feel that connection on your visit, then that's not the place for you. Because especially at this level where things are hard, you need that to succeed. Like, that's a huge
There's no doubt. And that's one of the things that Coach Schuman and I get to go back and forth with, because for him as a Division I athlete, you know what I mean, UConn, right, scholarship, and then for myself, having played my first year at Sacred Heart at a non-scholarship FCS, and then transferring to Montclair State, true D3 program of like, you're lucky you get a pair of gloves type of situation. You know what I mean? It's really awesome that we can have that dialogue of going back and forth of what D3 is and really is at the root of it. I think you guys are a little on a different level because you have the attachment on campus to a Division I program, right? So the standard and the floor is a little higher, I want to say, you know, in that, if that makes sense.
I will say with that is, I think the facilities and that kind of things allows us to operate in terms of different than a normal Division III school, where we do have a standard and we want to continue to meet that standard, and that allows us the facilities, the high academics, that allows us. Oh, Coach Yu.
He'll come right back. Watch, you'll see. It'll be right back. He'll pop right back in. We just roll with it, buddy. Listen, after doing over almost 300 of these, we've been through every technical difficulty, knock on wood, which I'm sure there's more to come. But it's just what it is, buddy. You're good.
Yep, that standard is just like a starting point for us. But at the end of the day, they're still Division III athletes, and that culture, their life outside of football, their dream of being a doctor, their dream of being an engineer somewhere, top financial analyst somewhere, like those dreams are so important to them. They're not just football players at the Division III level, right? There's nothing holding them to us except for their enjoyment, their love for football. Because once they're here, why do they like football is just what brings them joy. They still have to be a well-rounded individual. Like our guys, they created their own LLC, called Blue Jays for Baltimore, where they go out into the community and help out local communities in Baltimore, doing a whole bunch of different things. Like they're incredible individuals, incredible people. And football is just a small part of it. And that's a lot of the case in Division III. In Division I, where you can get that scholarship held above your head a little bit. Like, hey, as much as you don't want to, like coaches can and will, like, hey, you're here on a full ride. Like, you got to go through this grind. Like, they're doing it because some of the guys in order to go to school and get a degree, they need that scholarship. They have to and they're doing it. They might not love football, but they're doing it so they can have that opportunity for themselves. Where at this level, when you go to a school, a lot of times, like financial aid was like, you were able to go play Division III football because financial aid worked out and things like that. Obviously case by case scenario, but it's really just the football. Like, there's nothing in football that's keeping you there. It's everything outside of it, your goals, your dreams. Like, this is really just one piece of who that student athlete is.
Your love of the game, all those kind of things play a role.
No doubt. Well, awesome stuff. It's been great having you on, Stephen. I learned a ton. Great connecting with you again. Look good, man. You look good.
Appreciate it.
It's good. Important, brother.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And listen, best of luck to you. And we'll hopefully see you soon.
Yep. Yeah, definitely. I'll be up there. I'll be up in New Jersey soon, especially over the summer.
Fantastic. All right.
Thanks, man.
No doubt. All right. See you later, Coach.
Appreciate you guys having me.
All right. Bye. Great pod, dude. Good
He's
stuff.
the man, dude.
Good stuff.
Seems like a really cool kid to have on roster.
Oh yeah. No doubt. Leader, obviously
of course.
No coincidence. I guess there, right? So
right.
Really good stuff, man. Really good stuff. It's I wanted to get some of that stuff out there because I think it's been hard for kids and parents to understand, and there's so much
there's just so much misinformation
over media. Like, I try to tell, if you act as an athlete as like you're a business, like a company, it just seems a little over the top. Like if a business is promoting things, it's a business, you know what I mean? Now you are your own product as an athlete, but there's a balance to it. There's a difference between a personal brand and a business, right? So and they're intertwined, but you want to, like, as a kid, not overexpose yourself. I really think that's like I get it. You have to do exposure. I mean, there's nobody that was a bigger advocate of that than me. You know what I mean? But as I see it now so much, because there's so much overexposure, you want to have a balance. That's why I do think the insight being in person is a big deal for athletes. Like, and I'm not talking about like I get the camp thing. I mean, trying to establish a relationship. Like, if you can get back to some of the old school things from that standpoint, it will help you. I'm not saying I'm not saying it's as quick as firing off 50 DMs. Obviously, you have to do that and personalize and all that. You need to do that too. But as you get towards the process, establishing those relationships are a big deal.
Right.
And I think that you're going to see. I don't know how soon, but I think you're going to see some of these colleges more and more as more of them are losing money at the Division I level. A lot of I don't know if football will get cut because it's such a big sport, but things are going to get cut, right? So this is also part of other athletes. Like, you have to do a better job of kind of not just relying on all this stuff to do it for you, but kind of being really proactive and get in establishing relationships yourself. You know, there was a sweet spot in time where you could go to showcases. It would really benefit you. I'm not saying that you can't do that now, but I think that
It's just different.
it's just a different time. Like it's they're not pulling information from a handful of places anymore. They're pulling it from hundreds of places. So there's kind of like, if you told me half the like people are like, oh, I went to this camp, I did really well, it should help me. I'm like, I don't even know what that camp is.
Right.
Like,
exactly.
it may be valuable. I'm just saying that's what it's like for everybody. Like, it may be valuable. I'm not saying it's not valuable. I'm just saying I don't know what it is. And it's a much smaller sector of people who do know about what each camp is. So no one's saying it's not good. I'm just saying that, like, being in person helps differentiate thousands of different camps you might go to. And I have this discussion with parents, even at the youth level. Like, you won't believe it, but like, they're trying to figure out, like, how do I get this high school coach to know about my child? It's more in the parochial world, obviously, but I'm like, that's something you have to figure out. Like, you're probably gonna have to go down there. You know what I mean? Like, that's what you're gonna have to do, and you're gonna have to stop down there, and because there's no other way around it. Like, going to these, like, you could go to these middle school showcases. If you are truly the best guy there, and they'll see it, but they might miss you. They might be talking to their friend the whole time. I'm not kidding too when I say that. Like,
I'm with
they
you.
know they should show up there. They might literally be talking to their buddy the whole time. Like, there are people think that just because coaches do this for a living, that they actually know what they want to look at. Like, there are guys that really just, they're doing it because they know they don't want to not be the only program not there. You know what I'm saying?
They're
Like,
following the Joneses.
Yeah. They have their own process. So
it's the same reason when you look at, right, like a guy gets an offer, all of a sudden he gets an offer from this spot, all of a sudden everybody else in the conference gives him an offer.
Right. And I think that's a big thing that they need to start to look at. I don't know, but there's no right or wrong answer. It's just that, like, you've got to, do things. I get the mega camp thing. I understand. Yeah, it makes sense. One, I still would want to know. I would have it, like, if I'm going to a mega camp, like I will have liked to have talked to enough people.
How reputable is this camp?
Yeah. I mean, it's not that they don't all get people there, but like who's actually coming? Can he make a decision? Those kind of things. It is tough. I don't envy, the parents and the kids having to go through it. Like what used to be a really, really fun process is a grind process now. So
it's almost like a relief when it's over.
Yeah. I mean, like when I went through it, there wasn't showcases or anything. It was off your film, right? And then if they got any numbers, it'd be like, what did you run the 100? Yeah, it was just like, what did they run the 100 meters in, or what was their long jump?
It was very standard to like, this is what it is.
Exactly. It was, and then, but even there, like I went to schools to talk to coaches, like, so I wish I knew more about that stuff, but I went to meet with coaches. Like that was how I built some of my relationships. There were coaches that recruited me that were not places I went to too, obviously, but I did do that. And, those things matter. The more it becomes digital, the more that matters.
Oh yeah.
So you could blanket them, and that does, if you do a good, well enough job, you're going to player that absolutely will boost your recruiting. But you also need to get to the next step. It's not just about getting awareness. Awareness is the very beginning of the process. Very beginning. If you're getting awareness at the end of the process, you really have a problem. Like, so, that's a large part of it. So it's very interesting. It's very, very interesting, especially from a high academic school, and who's very, very good, and it's
very good.
Their process and everything like that. So it's
right. Yeah. Which why I was like, one of the, I was really interested in what he had to say on some of those things. Cause again, like it's very different. It's high academic, but it's also tabbed on campus with other sports that are at a different level, which adds to that. That's a big piece to the puzzle of there's Division I lacrosse here. Like that's different, whether it's whatever sport it is, you know what I mean? I think that plays a role in how they go about certain things or what they get and all those kind of that stuff. You know what I mean? So I thought that was a huge appeal to having the talk with Coach.
Yep. And it's interesting. I like, you see how all of it works. I was shocked at the deficit that Rutgers has.
It's crazy.
I was shocked that Ohio State had a deficit. So in
Florida State, I just saw one was like minus something for the year. I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah. So eventually, it's going to take time, but as powerful schools get some deficits, they're going to put parameters in place and be like, hey, this is how
we got to do it this way because we can't, you know what I mean? Like some of this stuff.
We can't run it for 10 years, this deficit. Right.
Going to run it into the ground. Like, what are we going to do?
Right. So, but I think that's so interesting because it's not really only, it's the player payments is part of it, but it's not really, it's the promotion you're actually probably spending to get people into the stands now, all the things surrounding it that you're spending on. Like you're probably spending on a lot more things surrounding your program, not just a player. Like that's part of it. And then the question is, are you getting enough sales off of it to warrant it between your own, your apparel, your games, all the other stuff, because you're probably spending a lot more promoting what you're doing. You really have
yeah.
Like before when it was just scholarships and you didn't have to pay players. Okay. You may have paid them illegally, but you didn't have to pay players. You literally, your focus was on, from a marketing standpoint, was getting people into the seats basically. Right. And then probably apparel. Now you're focusing on like probably a lot of PR stuff, probably a lot, so much, and surrounding all your sports, because you probably want some more of those because you're probably paying players in other sports. You're probably trying to put more people in the stands there, than you were before, where you probably didn't care in the past.
Now it matters.
Now it matters because if you're paying, I don't know, a gymnast $1 million because she's got a huge social media following, well, it doesn't end up making it worth your while if they have just the parents in the stands at the gymnastics meet. Like, you need a good crowd there. You need a good crowd. So to make that up, and because you don't want that person going to another schools, and it's tough because girls sports, like girls basketball, maybe the top 10 programs have a good amount of people in the stands, but what about all those other programs that are paying $200,000 for a player and they still get 500 people to the game? You know what I mean? Like, what are we doing there? Like, that's a tough scenario for some of those teams.
Agree.
Because not every place is going to be like the top 10 women's programs where they are getting 10,000 or whatever it is at. And I don't even know if they are. Like, maybe only I only know UConn because that's where I went, and probably Tennessee because of it's famous. But I don't really know. Does if Vanderbilt's having a good year, which they're having a really good year, are they getting 10,000 to a women's game, or are they still getting like 500 to 1,000? I don't know if that stuff has changed as much. There are certain places like Tennessee, South Carolina, or UConn that are unique, and that they really value it. The fans actually want to go. So
right.
There's an appeal. College football. It's an appeal, right? Rutgers has that appeal problem in football, right? Like, literally has it in football. Like the way that some of them have these top programs have it in women's basketball. Rutgers has it in football. If they don't win, like it's no one there. There's no one there, right? So literally no one there, right? And that's a killer. Like, listen, UConn won 9 games.
That crushes.
And is averaging 25,000.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, they won 9-10 games just because they're not in the big comp. But when Duke was there was 45,000 there, right? So
100%. The appeal for who's coming in, like if you're talking, how many guys, like, you know what I mean? Like, when they play Oregon or Ohio State or Michigan at home,
50, yeah.
Penn State, when you play whoever else, you're giving away tickets to every coach in the state because, hey, you guys want to bring your guys? Like, you just want to. It's
just want to fill the seats, right? Because
totally
and especially if you're winning, you'll draw them all the time. But if you're not, you're just not, right?
Right.
So,
like, look when they beat Louisville back in 2006 on Thursday night.
I was there.
You know what I'm saying? Like, now, switch it up down the road. Like, you're not winning.
I rushed the field.
No offense, nobody really cares.
I rushed the field.
I'm sure you
I said
lifetimes ago.
I was at Riverdale at the time. I was with the track coach, great guy. I don't know if he's retired now, but this guy Urso, great track coach. Played football at Duke, actually. He played football at Duke, and was a great athlete himself. And we went to the game, and we were sitting with each other. And I'm like, "Do you want to go rush the fans with the field with the stands with the students?" He's like, "Yeah, so let's do it." So we went down there, jumping up and down.
I had guys that I remember I was a junior at Montclair State. We had guys that we finished practice, hopped in the car, drove down, and were at the game. And okay.
Great. It was great. It's great stuff, so, but great pot. What'd you think of Super Bowl?
Defense, baby.
Oh, they're so much better.
I thought it was a great game. I mean, boring for anybody that's not a football fan, I guess, right? Like, or our coach. I don't know. I loved it. I thought it was great. I don't know. I thought it was a really good game. I love that it was the first time ever that a team wins a Super Bowl after having no turnovers the entire playoffs, right? And then the first time a defensive play caller wins a Super Bowl. The guy's 30-something years old. Some jersey ties. Chris Partridge is, on staff with the Seahawks, so he now has a state championship, a national championship, and a Super Bowl. Like, it's pretty cool.
That is pretty cool.
Someone
who knows how to pick them.
Shit, right?
And I remember when he started his career, when he was at Citadel, and I was coaching Saddlebrook, and he then he jumped out of it completely. It was like, I don't think I want to do this, and went into business, for several years, and then came back. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So, very, very interesting. Like the whole rise. Like, that's Really interesting. Really, it's amazing that the Seahawks are back on top.
Yeah, definitely cool.
Yeah, definitely cool stuff. So, all right, man. Well, we'll
Good. Yep. Tomorrow, Georgia Miller, our monthly shrink.
good.
And then the rest of the week we got everything's 10 a.m. this week. So Georgia will be on tomorrow. Chris Parno, who's a assistant track coach at Minnesota State, I believe it is.
Right.
Be really cool to talk to him. And then Coach Tim Breaker, if he makes it happen on Thursday morning, be nice to talk to him with, Glassboro kind of being the bee's knees right now of Group 1 football and just absolutely dominating everyone. He's had every Division 1 high-level coach in the building because he's got some really high-level players down there. And also, talk a little bit about, like, now he's got to play in the Group 2 playoffs, not the Group 1, because he's been beating the shit out of everybody. So not afraid to play anybody. So I hope it works out. I hope it works out.
I hope it works out. The whole I'll tell you, I've been diving so heavy. Like heavy. I don't know. You've probably seen some of the stuff I posted, but I'm diving so heavy into the correlation of strength, speed, and explosion, and what correlates and what doesn't. Yeah, I mean, at least for me, it's fascinating as far as from an athletic standpoint. As a lot of the stuff that we were taught may not
be true. Great.
It may not all of it may not correlate the way. Well, for alignment, it probably all correlates. Okay, for the most part, but mostly correlates. But for a skill player, it may not all correlate. So that's one of the. I've been diving deep. Like I'm like in a Corfist deep dark hole. So among other guys, but like he's. Because I just take his videos. I have it make me a summary and then I get a report. So
and you're good.
I've watched a lot of them, but he's so in depth that it's like sometimes I'm like, okay, I gotta move.
Yeah, you're like, I don't really get this.
I need to move.
That's
So
awesome.
I need someone to summarize this for me, Mr. AI. Please summarize this so I can then read it. Also, I like to read. I'm also a like he does visuals, but I'm like a visual. Like I like to see the pictures and with the description next to it. I don't know if that's how my mind works, but when I see the picture and the description, it somehow sinks in a little more. So when I read it, not just when someone's talking, but like when I then see a picture of what they're talking about, not just a picture of what they're saying is going on, but like an actual picture with the description next to it. I don't know. For some reason, it sinks in. It sinks in. It's very, very interesting. But one of the things I've learned, and I'll leave you with this, the rotation of the body has a large correlation to generating force and speed.